All right, let me lay out the basic facts right now. And then I'm going to go through the specific details of it and the proofs of this open, public, criminal conspiracy to overthrow our republic, not just Donald Trump, to end our three branches of government system and to permanently transfer us into an authoritarian program. The United States has not been perfect in its 245-year history. But we've had checks and balances, and we've been somewhat of a free nation throughout that period compared to others. And we certainly had lower taxes, and the small guy could actually build his own empire. We did not have a stratified class structure nationally. Cities and towns would have their own elites, and people would gravitate towards clubs and golf courses and elitism. But you still had a chance, whether you were a Russian or whether you were from Africa or whether you were from Mexico or Italy or wherever it was, to come here and have a better shot of actually building a better mousetrap. That's all being ended under globalism, where multinational corporations establish their own corporate bodies. They then buy off our politicians who sign over our authority to those multinational combines. This is the modern colonialism, slavery, called globalism. And the Apples and the Microsofts and the General Electrics, they're all for it. If General Motors isn't for it, they go bankrupt and the government takes it over. And that's where we're at right now. In comes Trump trying to bring back the old American system. She's the sexiest girl around. She just gets prettier with age. She's so much better than North Korea or Venezuela, so much better than Eastern Europe, so much better than France. And they don't want you to see her because you'd want her. She's the prettiest thing there's ever been. She's a good gal. Now, in comes Trump, this nationalist. People are voting for nationalists, whether they're liberal or conservative. They just want out of globalism. They want out of the EU. They want out of the TPP. They want out of NAFTA. They want out of GATT. They don't care. A lot of liberals, a lot of women came over and voted for Trump. Record numbers of blacks. That's why they're so upset. The very same whites that put Obama in put Trump in. They're just sick of it. They're not racist. They just want prosperity like everybody else. So the Democrats start this Russia narrative thinking that would work. When they lose, even though they stole a bunch of states, they then keep going with the Russia narrative and then hope somebody obstructs justice not complying with the Russia narrative. And Lindsey Graham now says, oh, well, no, it's no longer an espionage thing because there's none of that, but maybe people committed crimes not answering our questions. That's how the FBI always gets you. You didn't really do anything, but they claim that, you know, in some paperwork, you didn't tell them the truth, so now you obstructed justice. That's why the FBI wants to talk to you. You might be Jesus Christ, as clean as a lily. You just don't say a word. Because if they want to set you up, they're going to do it unless you don't talk. And so now here we are. The Democrats tried to obstruct the election. They had the fake polls. Here's the big announcement. Then they tried to steal the election that night. They failed. Then they tried to steal the electors and get them to be faithless. During the election, they tried to steal the delegates from Trump. They did steal them from Bernie on the Democrat side. So they're hopping mad. What do? They start putting out in their internal discussions, we need to overthrow this election. We need to have a new one. They then say, how do we do it? We got to get continuity government ready. We've got to give it set up so that if Trump tries to say no with his government, we'll claim it's illegitimate and have a war with it. I had sources on that, told you about it in late 2016 in countless reports and videos. Then a few months later, they come out in Atlantic Monthly, rewriting the rules of presidential succession and say word for word that that's how they want to do it. But they got to sell the idea first. And all of this is about selling that idea. And that's why they said, no, 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 let's back off on impeachment. That's the New York Times headline, that top Dems want the other Dems to back off impeachment because that's not even where they're going quite yet. They may just outright arrest Trump. We'll be right back. Stay with us. I'm going to break down what they're gearing up to do. Everybody needs to tune into this. So what do you do if you're multinational corporations that figured out how to use the same corporate systems that control the colonies to take over the Western world? What do you do when populists start getting elected all over the world, bringing power back to their own people and back to their own governments? That's what President Trump's doing. Well, you just call them foreign traitors, and you have the deep state, the intelligence agencies that had already basically taken over the country, go and declare that your president is a foreign enemy. And then you push that narrative long enough with the public, you prepare the public to go along with a plan to overthrow the president, claiming that he's illegitimate. But don't worry, you're not a dictatorship. You're going to hold a special election in 6 months run by Homeland Security. The last executive action of Obama was to hand over all 50 states to Homeland Security in their elections. And all 50 governors and lieutenant governors and attorney generals have written letters, including 25 Democrats, saying, do not do this, unanimously. This breaks the Constitution, breaks the separation of powers, destroys federalism between the states and the federal government. What are you doing taking the election over? Remember Obama, when I was saying he was planning to steal the election for Hillary and was going to try, which they got caught doing? He said, that's crazy. That's that guy down there in Texas. We don't run elections. You sure tried, and now you want to. So there's the big news. They have gone from in private saying it to in public saying it a few months ago in Atlantic Monthly to now preparing to do it. And I was told yesterday and this morning, watch. The Democrats are going to come out and say, whoa, 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 we don't want impeachment right now, because they haven't played out their propaganda piece yet. They don't want to have a real hearing in the Senate where they know the facts will come out. They want to just keep beating this drum that not only President Trump is illegitimate, but if you read the Atlantic Monthly article, and if you read the New Yorker article, all elite publications, they say it's not just him, it's his Supreme Court nominee. And it's not just who's now confirmed. And it's everybody elected is suspect in the last election. All the Republicans in the House and Senate and all the state houses and all the governors, they're saying the realignment in our country was a Russian plot. And so the whole return of America, the whole return of our system, you see, is illegitimate, and the deep state that already hijacked the country, it has to come back in with even greater authoritarianism and actually cement the authoritarianism in their new rubber-stamped Venezuela-style elections. And you read, Dems walk back Trump impeachment calls amid Seth Rich probe. They say, oh, we don't want something that extreme, because when they're done, it's going to be everybody. Because they're going to go down the line to each Republican saying, denounce them as Russian spies or you'll be next. Okay, okay. And by the time then they get back to that person, there'll be no one there to stand up for them. We're entering an inquisition. We're entering a Red Scare. We're entering a total hysteria. It's a civil war. And that's why all the black op commanders and all the CIA people and all the patriots are coming out saying, this is a takeover. This is the end of America. This isn't just the overthrow of Trump, as Greenwald is saying. This is the overthrow of our system. And you can read the article by Paul Watson, Infowars.com, updated, and I added some intel with Kit Daniels. I have the quotes. I have the quotes here from the March 28th article in The Atlantic. If the election had been stolen, Pence's place as vice president would be no more legitimate than that of Trump. So he can't be there, wrote elitist insider Norm Ornstein. After Pence, Paul Ryan, the speaker, followed by Orrin Hatch, the president pro tem, followed by the Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. They all must be removed. I'm reading from their plan. If voters collectively desire were subverted by the foreign interference and the party's collusion, none would have been legitimate claim, especially since the control of the Senate, at least, would have been affected by the Russian role. So there must be, and they go on, a total overthrow of the government with Homeland Security overseeing a new government, but only of Republicans. The Republicans have to be removed and then have new elections overseen by the Democrats, making sure that doesn't happen. The Republicans must understand this is a total takeover, ending the two-party system by the desperate Democrats whose party had imploded. Ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats are openly calling for a new election and the overturning of the presidential election of Donald J. Trump. I'm going to say that again. The Democrats are calling for the overturning of the election of Donald J. Trump and a new election, and they're saying the vice president, the Supreme Court individual that was nominated and confirmed, Gorsuch, all the House members that were elected, Paul Ryan, who was reelected, they're saying they all got elected because the Russians helped them get elected with no proof, And the Republican leadership wanting to go after Trump, wanting to delegitimize him after they'd already tried to steal the nomination from him. Hillary stole it from Bernie Sanders. And after they tried to get the faithless electors to steal the election, they didn't give up. And so they went along with the whole Russian narrative led by the Pied Pipers of Lindsey Graham and, of course, John McCain, the deep state operatives. And now they're saying hundreds of state house elections, 900. And all the new conservative governors and this whole movement to cut taxes and restore the Second Amendment and restore Christians not being persecuted by the IRS and to not let unvetted radical Muslims in and to kill TPP and to build a border wall and to do all this has to be scrapped because it was the Russians. They did it, and only the Democrats, only the globalists, only the Federal Reserve are the guardians of America. And only they can be in office. And what's crazy is I was hearing about this during the election, after the election from my deep state sources. We first broke it and talked about it. Then in Atlantic Monthly and in New Yorker Magazine and other elite publications, they came out and said it. And I've gone over those quotes. I'll go over them again. And now they're really doing it. But they want to sound reasonable. Oh, we don't want impeachment. No, you don't want impeachment because you want to declare the entire election illegitimate, and that's what they're actually preparing in Congress. And they're going around to Republicans saying, if you go along with this, we'll say your election was kosher. We're going to need a few Republicans left in here so it's not too obvious. And we're going to need a few conservative talk show hosts to stay on. Glenn Beck, are you on board? Sir, yes, sir. May I have another? And that's the plan. And I've laid it out before, and I'm about to lay it out again, because now I've talked to my White House sources, and I've talked to my congressional sources, and I've talked to my Pentagon sources, and they said, Alex, you are 100% on target again, word for word. Who do you really work for? How did you know all this? I keep getting it. Who are you with? I'm with the American people. I'm deep state 1836. I'm deep state 1776. I'm deep state whatever year my family arrived on both sides of the Mayflower. I'm deep state 16, whatever it is. Yes, I am deep state. As deep as it goes. It's true. Obnoxious, angry, focused, dedicated, dependable, loyal, researched, and I'll go on to the end. Whatever the costs may be, because it's now in the New York Times. It's now in Atlantic Monthly again. It's now in a bunch of publications, and the White House is now hearing from people inside the White House, well, you better just get ready. They're going to declare the whole election illegitimate and just make you step down. A whole new thing where it's not even they impeach the president. That's not the road they're going on. They're inventing just a new system of propaganda outside of the federal system, outside of the three branches, where the media, the fifth of state, all these foreign powers, the Pope, the globalists, the communist Chinese, Hollywood, Democrats and Republicans in the House and Senate, just announce you're a Russian agent. The election was Russian. It's all legitimate, all illegitimate, having a Freudian slip, and overturn it. And then have Homeland Security be the guardian from here on out, this unelected fourth branch of government over the elections to ensure, just like in Venezuela or the old Soviet Union, that they are carried out properly. That guy down in Texas, Obama said, he's crazy, saying we're going to take over the elections. Feds aren't involved in elections? Not till I sign an executive order in a couple months. And that's why you've got Dennis Kucinich, and you've got all these former CIA people and all these former FBI people and all these academics and experts going, oh, my God, they're not just going to overthrow Trump. They're about to overthrow the entire American system, because they know America's going to keep voting for libertarianism, keep voting for lower taxes, keep voting for sovereignty, keep voting to keep the radical Muslims out, keep voting to defend the borders, keep voting to keep Christianity legal. And they just can't beat our ideology. They just can't beat our ideas. They can't beat this culture. It's why everybody wants to come here and then bitch about it all day. Because our slum's better than your slum. We're the best house in a bad neighborhood. I didn't say we didn't have problems. If there was some other better country, I'd be there. But I love America. And I know when they have congressional hearings and say, I'm under criminal investigation, but nobody subpoenas me, nobody calls me before them, they say, oh, Jones is being directed by the Russians. You're being directed by multinational corporations that want to loot this country and think we're all stupid. You're being directed by being a dishonorable, yellow-bellied trash. And let me tell you something. I know we're going to beat you. I've studied history. I've been fighting you for 20-plus years. And my ancestors beat you over and over again, and I'm going to beat you. And my listeners are going to beat you. So you just get ready for that. Oh, and by the way, something happens to me or this operation even gets shut down, don't think that that's a defeat. Don't think that, oh, they're going to celebrate it if they're able to, aren't they? Was the Alamo a victory for Santa Ana? Yeah, for about 2 weeks. That's how this works, ladies and gentlemen. I'm committed 110%. I will go on to the end, whatever the cost may be. Because I understand the globalists can't be dealt with. They can't be made a deal. There's no quarter. They're not there just trying to conquer us so they're in charge. They want to conquer our spirit. They want to destroy liberty. They're evil. Look at them. Look at how they're banning mother and father. Look at how they're banning wood paneling at colleges because that's racist. Everything is total division. Everything is an imploded culture. And now we're laying out the plan that they have the intelligentsia being brainwashed with right now, that they're preparing everybody in government with and Congress with, getting their ducks in a row, and then just continuing to lie about the president and lie about his supporters and try to foment as much cop killing as possible and as much deindustrialization as possible and trying to shut down the economy and trying to stop the Trump recovery so that the economy goes down and things get really bad, something they already had planned when Hillary got in. So we're going to bring in martial law. That's all admitted now. She was going to shut down the independent press. They were going to implode the borders, bring in UN. Loretta Lynch said so, Strong Cities Initiative. I mean, they were going to trigger race riots, you name it, once Hillary got in. But see, Trump got in because the intelligence agencies and the American people said no in a desperate last gasp. But just because we pulled up out of the waves and got some air for a minute didn't mean we didn't get sucked right back under by that globalist giant squid. And the minions of globalism, they don't care if the economy implodes. They don't care if it hurts 99% of people because they don't even care if they end up losing their job in a couple years. They really do want to destroy America. Even their servants that don't get power out of this, but for a season, for a short time, because it's their God. It's their God of this world. It's what they're into. They're into destruction. They're into pulling things down. Because if you look at the Podestas or you look at other globalists, they're all ugly. If they're young or old, they're all ugly. They look mentally ill. They look completely crazy. They look completely unhappy. And of course they're all into all sorts of weird stuff. Of course they're into all sorts of crime. Because they're fallen, twisted, ugly, hateful demon people that all they know is hurting anything that's beautiful. Like the old fairy tale, or Sleeping Beauty. You don't invite the witch to the birthday party. Or you don't invite her to the wedding. So she just destroys the whole town. Puts everybody under her sleep, under her curse. She kills the woman and the man. She puts them into suspended animation so that the magic of the man and woman together can't create the future and can't procreate. She attacks humanity itself. She tells you it's ugly. She tells you it's fallen. She tells you it's bad so that you don't ascend on the stairway to heaven that God has ready for us. You are sabotaged by their cultural evil. And that's Trump's greatest crime, is he wants to see wealth and success and empowerment for humanity, and that to the Satanist is satanic. And so now they're shopping around and getting ready, and even in the news with their own people saying suspend the election, overthrow the entire realignment, overthrow all the Republicans, all the libertarians, the populists, stop them, bring in authoritarianism, just like they're doing in places like Greece. That's their answer. And so we have to say no and point this out because they think we're so stupid. They're operationally talking about all this now in public. But they don't want to debate in the general public about it until they've created the consensus. We have to stop it before the consensus comes out by exposing it as pure authoritarianism, or they will package it like pumpkin pie or bubble gum.